Now this external stuff always changes. Right? That's the nature of this outside bit. And further on in the Yoga Sutras, I think it's in this chapter, I don't remember, but it talks about that pain or lack of enlightenment, self-realization occurs because of a misunderstanding between what is eternal and what is not eternal. Right? But the thing is, everything is God. Let's put that out there first. Everything is God. Everything is this one divine infinite consciousness. The changing stuff, the form, the body that lives and dies, the things that come and go, that is the divine infinite consciousness. Right. Okay, that's it too. Now, the eternal self, that's the divine infinite consciousness. One is eternal and non-changing. That's the witnessing presence. The other always changes. Okay. Now, pain occurs because people are looking for that external environment to be eternal. All right. You want good things to last. You want bad things to go away. You want friends to be sustained. You want relationships to be sustained. You want the good and the bad. You want the good to always be there. But you see, as long as there's good and there's bad, there will always be change. There will always be that fluctuation. So when a person can know this out here is always going to change, there will always be ups and downs, they will not be let down. Okay, there will be no false expectations there. Now, knowing that, first of all, a person can get frustrated and say, well, what's the point? And that is a higher form of depression, I suppose, because hopefully it drives the person inward to experience that state which is always the same, always eternal. So that said, the detachment we're talking about is when you practice meditation, when you practice your yoga, when you practice whatever it is you do that allows you to experience that stillness, that is bringing you closer, or not closer, because you can't get any closer than yourself. That is bringing you more aware of this eternal self. And then when you're interacting with the world, you can remember what that's like and live from that standpoint. That is the detachment we're talking about. And that's the key to practicing yoga. It's not, okay, I'm having a bad day, I have to go meditate, give me a second. It's more like, okay, I'm having a bad day, but hey, I'm still me. When you're practicing meditation, that is an intensive way of becoming aware of what you are. Now, you can't just do that. And the Yoga Sutras are all about living a full life of yoga practice. What that means is, after meditation, you remember that and you live from that state of consciousness. Right? And then in time, the more you live from that state of consciousness, the less you have to try and the easier it is. Now, the trick with that is, most of the time, the more you go through life doing this, the changes will occur gradually, and over the years, you will be more awake, more aware, more enlightened than you actually think you are. But it's just like as you get older, and every day you look in the mirror, you don't notice yourself aging until you look at a picture, say from 10 years ago. It's the same thing. If you stick with it, a lot of people want to have a quick enlightenment. They want to have the technique that's going to wake them up immediately. And there's no one technique that's going to do that. You have to do the work. But if you do a little bit every day, then, 5, 8, 10 years from now, you might stop and think, wow, I'm actually pretty still inside compared to, how you used to be. And you might be able to start accepting that you are this enlightened being, because that's part of what gets in your way, is not thinking you are this enlightened person. Or, it's not really a person. This enlightened awareness. So the more that you can accept that you are this enlightened awareness, the easier it will be to stay there as you're going through your life. Okay? And to follow that up with one more detail, the preconception that enlightenment means you're going to be a certain way is silly. You can be enlightened and be just how you are. Because you see, that's the changing you. And you have to have that. I mean, you couldn't interact within this world if you did not have that changing aspect to yourself. You can be happy, you can want things, you can not want things. But remember, that's just your personality kind of doing its own thing, letting itself play out. As long as you are aware of what you are inside, who cares what happens on the outside? That's the point. So you can get angry if you want to, okay? Don't stay that way, but if it comes up and you just let it express itself, sadness can happen. All these things can happen. But the key is to remain aware of that internal self. And then, as life goes on, things change, you get more peaceful. The changes within your awareness become less and less, and you're less identified with them, and you act appropriately within the situations that are going on in your life, whatever they may be. Some situations may call for you needing to be harsh with someone. Some may call for being loving to someone. That doesn't matter. That's just the eternal changing nature of consciousness. All right, so don't identify with that. All right, so 17. As fluctuations in awareness cease to be influential, one may experience samadhi along with subtle thoughts, partial self-knowledge, and perceptions of bliss. Right. So as fluctuations in awareness cease to be influential, which means you are no longer attached to them. You may experience samadhi with thoughts, which means you could be meditating and you're still thinking. The problem is, when you're thinking and you're identified with the thinking, then you're not in samadhi, you're not in superconsciousness. Okay? If you're meditating and you're like, oh, okay, thinking is happening. When you know thinking is happening, you're probably in a superconscious state, and it's just playing itself out. The thoughts are just playing themselves out. So that can happen. Partial self-knowledge. What that means is you might have a spontaneous awakening of really your eternal self within, the oneness that lasts forever and is free of all these things. Right? But then you come out of meditation and you kind of go back into your normal personality. And you may also have perceptions of bliss. Now this is important because just as I was saying, the preconceptions people have about what it means to be enlightened or aware or awake, that they are always in bliss. They are always so happy, and they're always just smiling and bubbly and laughing and full of life and all that sort of thing. And maybe they are, okay, but that just depends on if that's their personality. They can be very stern, and they can be cold, but they're still awake inside. So the perceptions of bliss occur because as you detach from the pain-producing things, the thoughts, the memories, the emotions that you think you are, and you become more aware of this state of oneness, this eternity, that's a lot of fun, okay? It is. It's a lot of fun because then it's like, oh, well, this stuff isn't so. Why am I taking this so seriously? Have you ever been in a situation where like bad things have happened, but then it just worked out in the end, and you thought, well, why did I get so worked up about that? That's the kind of experience that this perception of bliss brings up. It's like, wow, this is great. Now, the thing that you want to do is go beyond that bliss, because bliss is a type of conditioning just like anything else. Pure consciousness is your natural state, the eternal state, the purpose of experiencing yoga samadhi. So if you experience happiness and joy from the practice, that's good. But in time, that needs to be transcended as well. You need to be able to just be who you are naturally and experience bliss when it's there, experience whatever else when it's not there. Because if you want to have bliss all the time when you're meditating, you're going to be disappointed, okay? Because it doesn't happen all the time. One time I sent an email to Roy. I said, I had this wonderful experience. I was this point in space. Nothing was there. I was just floating, and I knew that I was forever, and it was just great. I said, what can I do to make that happen more often? And he said, you can't make that happen. He says, it just happens when it happens. All right. So you see, when you're practicing meditation, I want to recommend not doing it to escape from reality. Okay? You're practicing meditation to experience reality. Now, reality is not what you think it is. For example, if we were sitting here right now, and if you had some difficult situations within your life, and they were causing you internal anxiety, grief, whatever it might be, just problematic stuff, that problematic feeling you have is caused by thinking about it. Okay? Things will happen, but it's the fact that you make them into a problem. Eckhart Tolle's very big into that. He's like, thinking is where all the problems exist. Okay? Reality is just what is here right now. And reality is the divine consciousness. Reality is what you're trying to experience. So meditation isn't about getting so blissed out that you're just, well, cosmic consciousness is great, but it's not about escaping from what you are. It's about being what you are, whatever it is right here and right now. Because if you can be okay with what you are and what you're experiencing right now, you can be okay anywhere. You can be okay in any situation. You can be okay in this life. You can be okay when you die. You can be okay in the next life. You can be okay in thousands of lives. The point is to be okay right now.